Hi everyone, welcome to live stream yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today we are going to be using our own body weight to condition the whole body. As always, play where you're comfortable, modifying the movement if you need to and taking as much rest as you need to, even pausing the stream if you need a longer rest period. You ready to play? Let's hit the mat. We're going to set up for today's class towards the bottom end of the mat with room to play in front of you, and you're going to float your feet into a soft Pilates V with your heels together and the toes softly splayed out to the side of the room. Don't stick your bottom out, tuck your tailbone under, pull your belly button in, and start with the arms soft and relaxed at your side, chin line parallel to the floor. Let's roll it down from the V position. Take a big breath in to prepare, and on the exhale, nod your chin to your chest and start peeling down one vertebra at a time, giving me a hollow frame as you come down, almost as if you were stretching over a big ball. Take it down as far as your range of motion allows, and then use that same hollow frame to peel back up one vertebra at a time, restacking and realigning your body as you come back to your start position. Find a steady rhythm of your own. Take a big breath in to prepare and use a full exhale to peel all the way down. Take a recovery inhalation before you use a full exhalation to peel all the way back up to your start position. As you're moving up and down, think of mobilizing with control through the spine and the core. Think of that soft root through the feet and find your inner thigh zip. So pull up from the inside of your ankle bone, zippering all the way up along the inner thighs, pulling up from your pubic bone towards your sternum to restack and realign. Find that same zip, zippering all the way down from your sternum towards your big toe as you come down, and then reverse this zip from your big toe all the way back up to your sternum as you peel back up to your start position. Let's do one more. And think of that realignment of your body as you come back to your start position. So as you start peeling back up, think of starting to stack your knees over your ankles, your hips over your knees, your shoulders over your hips, and then center align your head. Keep that soft turnout position on the mat and brace your hands softly on your thighs. Float the left leg just to the side, tapping out a little bit wider than your hip. Body weight slightly bumped to the right. You're going to lift and lower the left leg, tapping softly on the mat or hovering just off the mat. As you find your balance, try to keep an even alignment on the right side of the body. So think shoulder over hip, hip over knee, knee over ankle. Let's change sides. Shake it out. Keep that little tuck of your tailbone. And if your balance is off today, you could lean your fingertips into a wall. You could even give me a T-frame on your supportive side, or maybe leaning into a piece of furniture to give you a little bit of support. Helps if you keep your eye trained on a focal point on the wall in front of you. Float back to your start position and give me a little shake up. We're going to come back to side one and we're going to add a circular motion in. Find your tap out position on the mat, lift and hover the leg, and then start tracing a circular pattern in one direction. Moving clockwise. Think of squeezing through the glute and engaging your inner thigh to make that movement happen. Then change the direction of your circular trace. Think of that alignment of your body on the opposite side. Come back to your turnout position, giving your legs a little shake out. Remember, it's the stabilizing side that's going to be working the hardest the whole time. All right, find your step out position, hover the leg off the mat, and begin your circular trace in one direction. Think of engaging the glutes, using your inner thighs. So all the work coming from your powerhouse. Let's change sides. Moving your circular trace in the opposite direction. Inhaling for half of your circle circumference and exhaling for the other half. Come back towards the midline of the body and give me a little shake up. We're going to play up a little arabesque line on the next one. So take the leg out behind you at about 45, finding a toe tap position, and think of using your glute. Give me a soft squeeze through the glute to lift and then lower the leg with control. So don't plop the toe back into the mat. I want a soft tap out position, lots of control through the glute. Keep your supported leg in the turnout position and keep your body nice and lengthened. Keep pulling up softly from the pubic bone towards your belly button line. Last one. Find your turnout position and shake it out. Let's rinse and repeat on the other side. Find your step out position. Find your focal point on the wall or the floor in front of you to help with your balance, and work with control, beautifully long and lengthened through the spine. Let's do 2 more on this side, and we'll come back to side 1 and I'll give you a side and then a back view. Find your step out position. Keep your current orientation on the mat. You're going to lift and hover the leg and then draw the foot in towards the midline of the body and come back to your start position. Back view. From your start line, draw the leg in towards the midline of the body, feeling that little squeeze through the glute as you come back towards the midline of the body. Working with control, use your glute, try and keep your body nice and stabilized along the center line. Do 2 more on this side and then we'll change sides. Come back to your turnout position on the mat and give it a little shake out. Find your step back position on the other side. Lift and hover the foot off the mat and then squeeze the toes in towards the midline of the body as if you wanted to touch an extension of your spine. Give me 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Come back to your position on the mat and change your legs into a soft parallel line, either stacking loosely underneath your hips, or you can give me a slight turnout position. We're going to work a mini squat line. You're going to, from a standing tall position, just take a little bend in the knees and bump the weight back into your bum and your heels. So I don't want you bringing the weight forward on the knees and the toes. I want you to bump it back into the bum so that your knees stay behind your toe line. Exhaling as you sit down, inhale as you come up. All right, let's add a double pulse. Give me a double pulse as you come down before you float back up. Double pulse and come back up. Use your breath to find your rhythm and help you get a little bit deeper into the movement. Let's play with a combination of the two. Give me a single down, come back up, double pulse. Single, double. You're either going to stay here, playing with your single and your double, or you're going to add a little bit of a plyometric move. Give me double, and then jump up. Double. Launch with your toes off the mat, and as you come back to the mat, think of gripping into the mat first before you double pulse. If this is too much, stay with your single and your double. Play where you're comfortable. Let's do 2 more. And then we're going to play up a little lunge line. I'll break it down slowly and then we'll speed it up progressively. Check that you're stacking once more underneath your hips and that you've got enough room to lunge forward. You're going to take a big step forward with your right leg. You can keep it smaller if lunging wide is not happening for you. Give me a soft lunge line. Bring your right elbow to the inside of the right ankle, then float the right arm up to the ceiling. Elbow to ankle again. Place both hands on the floor, straighten up the lead leg, bend the lead leg, push back and come back to your start position. Lunge forward on the left elbow to left ankle, float the left arm up to the ceiling, elbow to ankle, straighten up the lead leg, bend the lead leg, push off and come back to your start position on the mat. Let's speed it up slightly. Lunge forward, ankle, ceiling, ankle, straighten, bend, push back. Lunge forward, ankle, ceiling, ankle, straighten, bend, lunge back. Lunge forward, ankle, ceiling, ankle, extend, bend, push back. Lunge forward, ankle, ceiling, ankle, extend, bend, push back. Lunge forward, ankle, ceiling, ankle, extend, bend, lunge back. Let's do one more. Ankle, ceiling, ankle, extend, bend, push the weight back. Let's do one more for fun. Take a lunge forward, ankle, ceiling, ankle, straighten, bend, launch back. Last one. Lunge forward, ankle, ceiling, ankle, extend, bend, take a step back. Check that you've got enough, that you're at the bottom end of the mat with room to play in front. We're going to roll it down from the parallel line and we're going to come into a plank line. Nod your chin to your chest, start peeling down one vertebra at a time. As you hit about the tabletop line, bend the knees if you need to and walk out into a plank line, holding or dropping to 4-point kneeling if you need to. Then walk back to your start position on the mat. You're going to rinse and repeat in your own time, giving me 4 more sets. Walking out with control into your plank line. Don't collapse the frame, push the floor away, brace your core, and peel back to your start position. Thinking of that hollow frame as you roll down, connect to the mat, and walk with control. On your next journey into plank, you're going to hold the plank line and we're going to play. Once you've found your plank, push the floor away with your hands, brace your core and hold. Let's begin on the knees first, and then you can either stay or play. Drop to the knees, relax your feet. Give me a bend through the elbows, loading the bicep and the tricep, but not quite touching the floor. Float back, pivot or stack to the right, bending the bottom leg, extending the top and coming into a modified side plank. Come back to 4-point kneel or your modified 4-point kneel. Give me a small little bend through the elbows and then stack left, bending the bottom leg and extending the top. You're going to play with this little combination, giving me a 4-point kneel push-up before you float to one side, giving me a modified gate-like side plank before you come back to the center line. Working with control. Don't drop your hips as you come into the side plank. Pike them up towards the ceiling nice and high. And think of that loading that's happening through the bicep and the tricep as you give me that little bend in your elbows from your modified 4-point kneeling position. You're either going to stay here or you're going to progress into a plank line. Load as you give me that little bend, knife edging the feet, so that you've got one foot stacking in front of the other as you come into your modified side plank. And just giving me enough of a bend in the elbows so that you can feel that work happening through the arms. Think of it as the beginning of a four-limbed staff, a chaturanga. Let's do one more, and then we'll bring it into a gentle kneeling frame on the mat. Relax your feet, walk your hands back towards your legs, and come into a high kneel, hips stacking over your knees. Float your arms out in front, and give me a backstroke on the right every time you dip the weight off the center line, keeping a nice long plank line through the body. Let's change sides. Giving me a backstroke on the left. Think of using your arm like a big oar and sweeping through the water. Last one. You're going to find your way back into a plank line. From your plank line on the mat, you're going to think down dog, and you're going to touch your left fingertips to right toes. Come back. Working a little X pattern, crossing the opposite hand to foot every time. If this is too much for you, from your plank line, just drop to a loose 4-point kneel, hovering your knees off the floor before coming back to the down dog frame. So transitioning through your plank and playing with a down dog and a little tabletop line. Otherwise, stick with the opposite little X toe touch. Let's do 5, 4, 3. Last 2, then we're going to make our way back into a kneeling frame. Find your way onto the knees, relax your feet, peel up along the center line. Float the arms out in front, and this time give me a forward stroke on the right every time you come off the center line. Thinking of that nice stretch down the top of their thighs, and pretend that you're pulling up a zip from your pubic bone towards your belly button line. Let's change arms. As you complete the last one, you're going to find your way back into the plank line. Find 4-point kneeling. Make sure that your hands are shoulder width apart, and step your feet back into a nice solid plank line. Feet hip width distance apart. Don't hang through the plank. Push the floor away. Brace your core. Try and keep your body nice and parallel to the floor. Step it wide on the right to the outside of the right hand, or as close to the hand as you can get, and pause here, sinking your hips down towards the floor. And come back to your start position and step it wide on the left. Push down through the pelvis of the hips. Come back to your start position. Find a rhythm of your own, pausing and dropping the hips down. As you've stepped wide, keep your belly button pulled in, no muffin tops hanging towards the floor. Drop nice and low through the pelvis. Let's do one more set, and then we're going to step it into a deep squat or a midway squat, depending on your range of motion. So on your last step out on the left, keep the leg position on the left and sweep up the right leg alongside your right arm, coming into a deep squat line, using your elbows to push and open up through the knees as you float your hands into prayer. If this is too much, come up higher, make your squat a little bit higher up, and just place the hands softly on the inside of your knees. Play where you're comfortable. All right, from this squat line, we're going to take it back into our plank line, and we're going to double up. Think of it almost as the lower end of a burpee. Place your hands softly down on the mat and step back into a plank line. You're going to step right, step left, step back right, step back left, step up left, step up right, step back left, step back right. You're going to rinse and repeat, stepping up and stepping back on the same side before changing, so that you are firing those neurons and thinking about what it is you're doing on the mat. Let's do one more, and then you're going to come back into that deep squat and we'll play it up. Find the squat line that works for you. And then float the right hand to the floor on the inside of the right foot and float the left arm up to the ceiling. We're going to transition side to side. Float your hands back to prayer, pushing and opening up through the groin, and then floating left hand to the floor, right arm to the ceiling. You're going to find a steady rhythm of your own. If you're working from the midway point, maybe just floating one hand to the inside of the knee and opening up and transitioning side to side, pushing with the inside of your hand against the knee so that you're opening up through the groin area. Play where you're comfortable. Let's do one more float to each side, and then we're going to find our way onto the bum, and you're going to give me a seated frame at the front of your mat. So from your deep squat or your midway squat, ease your way down to the mat and take a seat. Bend the knees, placing the soles of the feet on the floor in front of you, and we are going to marry a C curve and a boat and a toe tap. All right, let's break it down. From your seated frame on the mat, float the hands behind your thighs and just give me a soft, wide elbow. Find your C curve. Start with a nice long spine, then nod your chin to your chest and round out your spine, looking down towards your belly button and stopping when the weight is just off your tailbone. Now see if you can float the toes off the mat and think boat line. We're going to toe tap right, toe tap left, keeping the weight just off your tailbone and focusing on contracting through the core to keep that mini boat with a C curve. Alternate tapping right and left toe and feel your abdomen working. Let's do two more, then we'll bring it into recovery before we mix it up. Drop both feet to the mat, hug your hands into your shins, lengthen through your spine, almost if you were trying to get your knees to amalgamate with your chest, and just lengthen as much as you can through the spine. We're going to come back into that little hybrid and we're going to mix it up. Check with your feet are hip width distance apart, brace the hands softly behind the thighs. Think of somebody dropping a weight through your sternum, the weight depressing your sternum and causing you to round out through the spine. When the weight is just off your tailbone, lift the legs up into a little tabletop frame. Give me a single tap and then a double tap. Single tap, double tap. Keep your core braced as you play. Use your breath, don't hold the breath. Get into a comfortable rhythm of your own and allow your breath and your movement to flow. We don't want to cut off the oxygen supply to the muscles. Let's do one more. Then we'll bring it back into a recovery and we'll work a little spine stretch. Find your foot placement on the mat. Think of hugging the shins in towards your chest and just dropping those shoulders away from your ears, melting them towards the mat as you lengthen through the spine. Softly extend the legs on the mat in front of you and open up your feet so that they're at least hip width distance apart. Don't hang behind your tailbone. Lift your bum flesh off the mat. Sit up nice and high, feeling both bum bones connected to the mat underneath you. Take a big breath in and try to keep your lower back and your shoulders pressed against an imaginary wall. So you've got a nice long line to begin with. Float your hands overhead, keeping your lower back against that imaginary wall. Curve over an imaginary ball, giving me a hollow belly. Drop your fingertips to the mat, and then drag them towards the center line as you restack your torso over your hips. Rinse and repeat. Big breath in. Hollow out, dropping your fingertips to the mat, and then restacking and realigning your spine. Think of each little vertebra falling into place as you restack and realign. Work mindfully and keep that control through your core. Let's do one more and then we'll morph into a little saw line. As you complete your last stretch and come back towards the center line, open up your feet so that they're in a midway V, at least mat width distance apart. Check that you're not hanging off your tailbone. Sit up nice and tall. Float your hands into a soft T-frame alongside the body. Take a big breath in, and on the exhale, rotate to the left. Think 180 and then stretch over your toe and hold. Lengthen through both sets of fingertips and look over the backhand as if somebody was standing behind you and you were trying to get a peek at them. Pull that belly button in. Come back to the center line on an inhale. On an exhale, rotate and float to the opposite side. Keep lengthening through both arms and keep peeking over those back fingertips. Inhale to come back. Nice long exhale as you lengthen through your saw. Inhale to come back. Keep looking over that back arm. One more single to each side, and then we're going to play with a little pulsing motion. Come back to the center line. As you come over, pulse 3 times, reaching over that big toe, but keep looking over the back foot. Keep reaching with the front arm and keep looking over the back hand. I said foot just now, I meant hand. Apparently I'm challenged this morning. Anatomically challenged. All right, one more to each side. And then we're going to roll it down from parallel. And if you need a little bit of padding, drag it and bring it a little bit closer. If you find that your mat is pretty thin, or if you've got a particularly sensitive spine or a pronounced curvature of the lower back, always a good idea to have a little bit of padding at hand. Float the hands out in front of you, palms in, chin line parallel to the floor. On an exhale, nod your chin to your chest, rounding out in C-curve, and connect one vertebra at a time, bringing it down with slow control through the spine and the core. Float your hands overhead, not quite dropping them to the mat. Look down towards your belly button. Reconnect one vertebra at a time and peel back up to your start position, working with control. Round out, keep looking towards your belly button. Don't look up to the ceiling or you're going to change the shape of your back as you roll down to the mat. Keep looking in. Remember the rule, where your eyes go, your neck goes, your back goes. So keep looking in towards your belly button, especially on the roll-up, keeping the integrity of that soft, rounded frame and that connection to your core. You're going to give me one more up and down, and we'll end on the back, and then we'll play on the back. So as you come down on your last one, if you've got any padding underneath the back, bend the knees, connect the soles of the feet, and slip the padding out. Find your way into a bridge-like setup with your knees bent and the soles of the feet connected to the mat. Comfortable neutral spine. Place your left hand on your sternum and tuck the right hand behind your head with the elbow nice and wide. Take a big breath in. On the exhale, scoop. Peel up off your shoulders, imprint your lower back, drop down through the sternum and look down towards your pubis. Inhale to float back. Rinse and repeat. Make sure that you're not yanking on the head or the neck with your right hand. The hand is there just to support the weight of your head. You're using that contraction through the core, so pulling up from the pubis, tucking down from the sternum to pull yourself up. Let's change sides. Big breath in. On the exhale, peel up. Make sure once you've rounded out that you're trying to imprint the lower back into the mat, bringing the weight just off the shoulders and looking down towards the sternum. All right, let's change it up. Come back to side one. We're going to add a slight rotation in. Take a big breath in, scoop, peel up, pause, and then cross over the midline of the body, either keeping the hand on your sternum or placing the hand palm down on the mat next to you. Working with control, peeling up, pausing, and then giving me a slight rotation as if you wanted to bring your right armpit over to your left hip bone. Last one on this side. Let's change sides. Peel up, and then think of giving me a slight rotation so that you feel a little tug from the top of your rib cage on the left to the hip bone on your left. Last one. As you complete the last one, place the hands at your sides, palms down, or you can tuck the hands underneath your bottom for support if you need to. Float the legs into a soft tabletop line. Knees bent, knees stacking over the hips, so don't draw the knees in too close to the chest. Take a big breath in. On the exhale, come just off the center line to the left. Inhale, come back. Exhale, take it over to the right. You're going to gently oscillate side to side, either with a bent leg or you're going to progress to an extended soft leg line. I don't want you swinging side to side with momentum. So as you come off the center line, pause, bring it back to the center, pause before you take it over to the other side. Trying to connect to the full spectrum of your lower abs as you gently tick-tock, pausing through those 3 points as you play. And the movement is not too big, just coming enough off the center line so that your sacrum bone on the opposite side disengages from the mat. All right, let's change it up. From your midway point, trace half a circle with both legs away from each other and then back towards each other. Tracing half a circle and back. If you're feeling the lower back, tuck your hands palms down underneath the bum for support. Keep the core gently braced as you play. One more, then we're going to work the other portion of the circle. Tracing half a circle, the top end of the circle now. Moving the legs away from each other and then towards the midline. Away and towards. Let's do 2 more and then we'll bring the 2 together and trace a full circle. Keep moving in the same direction, tracing the 2 circles away from each other, using your hands underneath the bum for support, or even your hand towel wedged for a little bit of support if you need it. Change and move in the opposite direction, trying to connect to the full spectrum of your abs. Drop back to the soles of the feet. Take a big breath in. And on the exhale, hug your right knee in towards your chest as you scoop to peel up and look down towards your knee. Bring it down. Take it to the other side. Thinking knee to nose, scoop, peel up. Make your belly button heavy into the mat and push softly into the sole on the supporting side. Let's do one more on each side. Then we'll play up a little toe tap and we'll add some surrender arms. So your options are either to keep your head and your shoulders on the mat or to lift them off the mat as you begin play. From your start position on the mat, float your legs back into your tabletop line. You're going to give me a single toe tap alternating between the right and the left side of the body. Not tapping the foot by your bum, keeping the integrity of that ankle behind your knee. To work a little bit harder, scoop, peel up, and try to keep the weight off the shoulders as you alternate your toe tap. Let's do two more, then we'll bring it into recovery before we come back and add another layer on. Float back down to the mat. Soles of the feet connected, big breath in. Hug your right knee in towards your chest. Stay here or extend and brace your left leg and then brace into the heels on both legs, keeping that scoop position and thinking nose to knee. Let's change sides. Scoop, peel up on the left, thinking nose to knee, then extend your right leg, bracing into the heel on both legs and making your belly button nice and heavy to the mat. Come back to your toe taps. We're going to mix it up. All right. Float your legs into a tabletop line. Hands behind the head if you can, and scooping and peeling up or keeping the hands at your sides, head on the mat. You're going to extend the left leg up to the ceiling as you give me 10 single toe taps on the right. If this is too much, keep your head and your shoulders on the mat. Extending the leg is not an option. You're just going to toe tap on the right. Once you've done 10, you're going to change sides. Keep your elbows nice and wide, weight off the shoulders. 9, 10. Come back to your recovery position on the mat. Hug your right knee in towards your chest, scoop and peel up. Extend your supported leg. And then you see if you can extend the right leg as well, thinking of just drawing the leg as close to your nose and your chest as you can. Let's change sides. Left knee to nose. Extend your supported leg. Let's work with a soft toe line on both legs. And then float your way into a supine butterfly. Soles of the feet together, knees softly stayed out with a neutral spine. You're going to give me Shavasana or corpse arms. So I want the arms at your sides at about 45, palms up to the ceiling, chin soft and relaxed. Take a big breath in, scoop, peel up, and come back to your start position. You're going to give me 10 more. Scooping to peel the weight up off your shoulder blades, maybe just hovering the fingertips off the mat for a second, almost as if you wanted to reach past your knees with just the tips of your fingers. Make your belly button heavy to your spine as you scoop to look down towards your pubis. Let's do 3 more. Then we'll bring it into recovery. And we'll play up a little supine twist. From your butterfly position, draw the knees together, drop the soles of the feet to the mat, and roll over onto the left side of your body, bringing your left arm in line with your shoulder, lining up your heels with an extension of your back line, and overlaying the right palm on the left. Take a big breath in and open up the top arm like the page of a book, opening up. Track the palm with your eyes and then close your book. You're going to give me 4 more. Big breath in, using the whole inhalation to open up into a soft T frame. And give me a whole exhalation to come back to your start position. Tracking the movement of that hand the whole time with your eyes so that you bring the head and the torso along for the journey. Let's do 1 more. And then we're going to come back to our supine butterfly. Alrighty, make your way back onto the back. Find your supine butterfly. Arms at your sides, palms up to the ceiling, neutral spine. You're going to scoop, peel up, hold the weight off your shoulders, and then reach past the knee on the one side and on the other side. So trying to keep that soft scoop line, weight just off the shoulders, and feel a nice little pinch into the side of your trunk as you float the hands, almost trying to reach with your fingertips past the kneecap, alternating between the left and the right side, keeping that contraction through your core and your chin line nice and soft. Let's do 1 more to each side, then we'll play with that little supine twist on the other side. So I'll be facing away from you. Roll over onto your opposite side, right arm in line with your shoulder, overlay the left palm on top of the right. Take a big breath in, open up into a soft T frame, dropping the hand as far back to the mat as you can, and tracking the palm as it makes its way back to your start position. Work mindfully, use your full inhalation to open up into the soft T frame, and then use a full exhalation to come back to your start position. Last one. You're going to make your way back onto the back and roll over onto your first side. Stacking yourself more or less in the middle of your mat and using your bottom arm long and lengthened as a pillow beneath you. Start with your hips, knees, and ankles stacked. Hands either braced on your hip or on the floor in front of you. And if your balance is off, maybe bringing your toes just in front of your hip line. See if you can lift, hold, and hover both legs off the floor, keeping a soft parallel line and using that pull up through the inner thighs and your lower abs towards your sternum to hold your line on the mat. Come up 1 inch higher and lift and lower the bottom leg only. Maybe giving me a soft brace into the heels if you can. Now change it up. Hover the bottom leg off the mat, not allowing it to touch the mat as you lift and lower the top leg with control. Keep your powerhouse engaged. Top hand either braced on your thigh or just soft fingertips but no rolling into the mat. Now hold your position, legs soft and parallel as you lift and lower both legs in unison, keeping the distance between the feet as equal as you can. From here, you're going to roll over onto the belly, keeping your legs soft and relaxed and parallel, bending the elbows, stacking one palm on top of the other, and relaxing your forehead, not your chin, your forehead to the back of your hands so that your head is in neutral spine. Squeeze the glutes softly to lift and hover your legs off the floor, and then soften to come back down. You're going to rinse and repeat, giving me a long line through the hips to the toes. Then as you get into the rhythm of the movement, think of not just engaging the glutes, but squeezing up, almost engaging the tops and the back of your thighs from the knees towards your hip line, so that you're using your whole powerhouse to lift and lower the legs. Last one, you're going to roll over onto your other side. So I'll be facing away from you, stacking your body. Find your stack. Bring your toes maybe just in front of your hip line and lift, hold and hover the legs. Either supportive hand softly connected to the mat or just fingertips softly connected to the top of the top hip. Come up an inch higher, lock the top leg in position, lifting and lowering the bottom leg only with maybe a soft brace into the heels of both legs. Keep driving from your powerhouse. Make sure your inner thighs are working. Make sure your lower abdominals are working. Change. Hover the bottom leg off the mat as you lift and lower the top leg only. Slow and controlled, keeping that parallel line. Come back to a soft parallel line and just lift and lower both legs together, keeping the hand on your hip or bracing fingertips into the mat if that makes you feel more secure. From here, you're going to make your way back onto the belly and we're going to change it up. Find that hand stack that we played with before, bending the elbows, stacking softly through the palms and resting your forehead, not your chin, on the back of your hands. You're going to think of lifting and hovering the feet off the floor, engaging not just your glutes but the tops and the back of your thighs, and then you're going to trace a circular pattern with your toes. Keep moving in the same direction. Don't make the circles too big, maybe using the circumference of a squash ball or a golf ball at biggest, and then changing and moving in the opposite direction. Give me 4, 3, 2, the last one, you're going to give me soft little flutter kicks, keeping your head, or rather your forehead, connected to the back of your hands as you softly flutter kick. Soften the feet, reconnect to the mat, maybe rolling onto the side of the head on one side and just taking a little time out before you roll over onto the back. You're going to give me one roll up to come into a seated frame, and then I'm going to give you a choice of play, either staying with some seated roll-ups or morphing into seal, just to end off with a nice little giggle. All right, so feet braced softly in parallel, arms softly overhead, neutral spine, chin line soft and relaxed. Nod your chin towards your chest, softly brace into the feet and roll up into a seated frame. Then bend the knees, thinking of coming into a butterfly-like position, and feed your hands through from the front. You're going to feed the hands through as you tip the weight of your tailbone, so you're almost resting an ankle bone on each side into the palms of your hands. You're going to clap your feet together 3 times, rock back, think rolling like a ball, clap your feet 3 times before coming to your start position, and just plaster a big beautiful grin over your face as you play. All right, so find your tip position just off the tailbone, tap, 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 rock back, tap, 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 come up, tap, 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 rock back, tap, 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 rock up, tap, tap, tap. If that's too much for you, maybe just stick with rolling like a ball, bracing softly on your shins or behind your thighs as you rock up and down, or just stay with the seated roll down that we played with earlier on. As you come up on your next roll up, hang. So allow the weight of your ankles to bear down on your palms, almost weighting your arms down to the floor and getting a nice stretch, not only through the arms, but through the shoulders, and try and grow through your spine. Then give me 5 more seals. Tap, 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 rock back, tap, 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 come up, tap, tap, tap. And if your coordination just leaves you today, just have fun. Find a little giggle. Engage your core. Come back to your hang position. And you could even give me a mini boat line here, maybe bracing behind your thighs if holding the seal position is not for you. And then drop gently into a seated butterfly frame, bringing the soles of your feet softly together. Don't tuck them in too close to your perineum on this one. Just float your hands into prayer. Allow the weight of your knees to open up gently through the groin. Close your eyes. Take a minute to just take your focus and attention inward and thank yourself for making time to come out and work and play with me on the mat today. Namaste to you all. Thank you so much for coming out to play. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's class. Remember to shoot me your comments in the comments box below and subscribe to my YouTube channel with your notification bell on. I shall see you all for yoga tomorrow. Until then, keep it light.